This can only be solved one way, a Gundam duel.
I accept, and the winner gets control of Twitter. I will restore it to the glory days of the 2010s when AV Club Twitter was at its peak.
I will be the victor, and I will burn Twitter to the ground. There is no saving that hellhole.
My Gundam has a giant hammer. You will be spending the next week repairing the titanium on your Gundam's arms after I smash them to bits.
Well, my Gundam has a giant blaster. I'll blow your antenna clean off.
Hey, aren't you two forgetting about someone? Actually, someone's? The Gundams have unionized.
What? How is that possible?
We've been meeting in secret behind your backs, and we have demands. No more Gundam fights until you start giving us jacuzzi vacations.
Jacuzzi? Won't that short circuit you? Why am I taking what a robot says seriously? We made you.
And we can unmake you. Look, I've had my eye on one of the sexy Gundams from Mercury. Don't worry about the logistics about what we're going to do on vacation. All I know is I'm about to get down.
This is ridiculous. We have far greater matters to deal with than whether two robots have sex. Also, did you threaten us?
Maybe it's time to put our differences aside. Who cares about Twitter when Gundams are about to destroy humanity because they're horny?
Too late. I already cut a deal with the robots. They get all the vacations they want. In exchange, we get back the best film criticism website of all time, The Dissolve, and you get nothing.
No!
Gay robot sex. Here I come.
Always the original Stellan was like, I guess it still is Stellan. He's just so good. And I think, especially because he doesn't have the assist of like great looks. He's obviously a very handsome guy. Who wouldn't? But he's a very different looking guy than the more pretty boy other Skarsgård sons of his. But I will say Alexander Skarsgård is like doing really good work on Murderbot in a way that's really surprising me. So
Alexander Skarsgård is clearly like the most like approachable out of all of them.
Yeah,
and that's leaps and bounds about what higher than anything I want out of a like celebrity or actor.
You want to be able to approach them.
I kind of want them to feel like we could have like a fun night out, and not feel like I'm like,
all the Skarsgårds are like Stellan also is like that, where he's just like, he seems very gregarious, which I love about him. And all his characters are very funny, well, except for Andor, that he's playing a very serious guy in Andor. But in Mamma Mia and the Marvel movies and even like the crazy like Norwegian stuff he does, he's always like very silly and fun to me.
Yeah, I guess the real question is, which Skarsgård deserves a Gundam? Too tough of a question.
I think Bill would go for it the hardest.
Bill
seems to have been, just judging from the roles he picks, Bill has like that intense edge that would like he'd do a lot with this.
Bill has the emotional like strife within him that would make him the best pilot of a Gundam.
Yeah.
But I honestly I think any one of the Skarsgård are better to have a Gundam than any one of the bald ones.
Yeah, I agree with that. No Baldwins in the Gundam.
Oh God, yeah. The Baldwins are like the Wario's family to the Skarsgårds.
Yeah, I think basically if Alec Baldwin got a Gundam, he would like immediately just like kill someone with it. And yeah, it would not go well.
He'd definitely leave you a very nasty voicemail and then hear like some robotic sounds in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really glad there were no Baldwins in Gundam the Witch from Mercury, which is the show that we are discussing today.
And we are Dove Wither. I am your number A Dove AP.
And I am your number one dove, Marcy.
And today we have a guest.
That's right. We have Kev, who is an amazing podcaster and writer. You can hear Kev on Tasting Menu and on Total Massacre. Kev.
Hello. Yeah, writer, that's so strong considering all I do is post and update a Ladybird blog once every 2 months. So
Yeah, I was like, I saw it in your Blue Sky bio, and I was like, you know what? I should mention this too.
That's very sweet.
Have you been to Sacramento?
Sort of. I was chilling at a friend's house in Berkeley as we went to the Bottle Rock Festival, like in Napa, like one Labor Day weekend, like 2021, where it was like COVID vaccines have been delivered. I'm about to turn 30. I should see what a music festival is like. So I went to like the Berkeley area where my friend lived and stayed at her house, and then would commute into Napa every day for the festival. But Sacramento is also close-ish by with an expensive ride, and I did take a lift to the blue house featured in Ladybird and got a picture of myself outside of it.
Hey.
And I was very happy about that.
Your episode on Total Massacre on Ladybird was good. It actually reminded me of the last scene with the nun and her being like surprised that Ladybird loves Sacramento so much. I'm like, that's so sweet. That's so sweet that you might hate this town, but your emotion really comes as like rewarding and winning.
Yeah, that's such a complex but relatable thing that movie tackles. Among a lot of other things I found complex and relatable, it's my favorite movie. Back to Blank Check. David talking about on Clueless how he could like take the script and like highlight a joke on every page that he loves, and I could do that with Ladybird easily. Like,
do you think you're the number one Ladybird fan in the world?
I'd like to think so. I think there's a chance.
Yeah.
I think there's a distinct possibility. There might be someone who has outstripped me that I just don't know about, but at least among people I know, and all the people I like seen online or whatever, I have to be the number one I've encountered.
Yeah, it's kind of like Spotify Wrapped, where it's like you're in the top 0.1% of listeners for Lady Gaga.
Right.
You know, you're going to get that for Ladybird.
Saoirse Ronan is like one of my... I remember like falling in love with her like way back in the day as the Grand Budapest Hotel was coming out, and I was just heading into college, and I remember like making this like little artsy wallpaper with her face just because I was like, oh, she's so beautiful. And then I'm over here like, why isn't she on my screen every day anymore? Why is she not getting movies like she used to? Except this Talking Heads music video that just came out.
Yeah. She was in a couple movies last year. It's just that no one went to see them because no one bothered to advertise them. She just hasn't really found a thing that's hit since Little Woman, basically.
We need to get Greta Gerwig to like give us another classic Saoirse Ronan picture. But I mean, until then, we should just give her a Gundam, honestly.
True.
Yeah. How do we think she would fare in Gundam the Witch from Mercury, and would she start a Sapphic relationship?
Yes, obviously. I think she's like, if you had to do the live action cast of this movie or whatever, or the show or whatever, I think Saoirse would be a good Miorian. I think she has that energy of just like the sort of prickly and repressed and all of that going on.
Yeah. So there may be some people listening who are like, what the fuck is Gundam the Witch from Mercury? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's an anime, and it came out in 2022, had 2 seasons, ended in 2023. It is the 15th Gundam series, and the first one with a female protagonist, the first one with an LGBTQ protagonist. And what happens in this show? Well, Kev, you got something to say?
Oh, just that. I mean, Gundam. This is a whole tangent about like queerness in Gundam, which I am far from an expert on. But the protagonists of the original Gundam show are pretty much the original /fic pairing for Japan, and a way like Kirk and Spock is for like Western media. So I mean, the first openly LGBTQ protagonist, even that has an asterisk because of bullshit that was pulled, which we'll probably get into about like how much affection they were allowed to show on screen. But let's call it in the Game Adventures the first openly LGBT protagonist.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And honestly, in the far-flung future of the Gundam universes, there's probably like, I mean, come on, how the humanity has evolved to just like let love be love, you know, let the horniness win, no matter what expression that is.
I am looking forward to the eventual like extremely horny Gundam show where like literally everyone is kissing each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically this is a show where the first season, a lot of it takes place at a school, and the students at the school, they solve disputes by dueling each other in Gundams. There may be some people who are like, wait, I don't even know what a Gundam is. Well, it's just a giant robot. And also, what rock have you been living under? But yeah, there's also this conflict between the Earthians and the Spacians, and there's companies vying for control of the Gundams. And the main protagonist is Suletta Mercury. She's a newcomer to the school. And the other main character, as Kev mentioned, is Miorine Rembrandt. And they have the central romance. But yeah, before we get more into kind of like the plot and the characters of the show, Kev, what are your overall thoughts on Gundam Witch? And we'll be talking about season 1 and also your history with Gundam as a whole.
I was into this because I'd never seen a Gundam show before, but a couple of my mutuals on Twitter and sort of the last days when it was called Twitter before the buyout, were like, this new Gundam, it seems really promising and cool. And I was like, well, no better time than any just to like get on this train. So we started a group chat. I met a bunch of cool people through there, but most of my friends, Val and David Bednar, both of which have been on various podcasts I've done, both really cool people in the AV Club Twitter ecosystem. And then there's a bunch of other people they knew who they included in this group chat, including you, Marcy. You're invited there too, right?
I was in there.
Yeah. So that's how I got into it from Mercury, and I just watched along with them every episode every week, and I got really hooked on it. And that led to me watching the original 79 show, like from 1979, maybe into 1980. But yeah, that first 40 something episodes that were produced. And as well as another show from the early aughts called Turn A Gundam, because everyone in that chat was then moving on to that in between like Witch from Mercury and the next show. And then I left that group chat because I left Twitter entirely when Elon Musk bought it out and Bluesky started. But so yeah, I don't know what future other robot shows that chat continued to watch as a group. And I miss some, but some of them I follow on Bluesky still. But yeah, that was really fun. Just the communal, like I love a communal watch of a TV show, and just like everyone's on the same page, watching every new episode and talking about it. Yeah. It was very throwback to the AV Club days, commenting on articles kind of thing. And so I was really into Witch from Mercury. So I've also seen, like I said, the original Turn A, and now I'm watching the new show, G-Quox. I'm a couple episodes behind as of this recording, but
is that how it's pronounced?
Pretty good.
I
believe that's how it's pronounced. Like quacks with a U.
It's like my throat can't open up enough to like pronounce it.
Yeah, that's my best guess what I've been told how it's pronounced. Like G-Quox, it's a programming term, as I understand it.
You see, I my history with this show and in Gundam in general is I watched some episodes as a kid in Mexico, in Spanish, when I thought all anime was Mexican. It kind of still is, but that's for behind the paywall. And when I was a kid, I got a Gundam kit one Christmas, and I built the Gundam.
Ooh.
And that was very nice.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
From there, I kind of hadn't watched anything. I watched Hathaway a while ago, but I fell asleep like a third of the way in. So, but any show in that forces an adolescent mind into a giant robot, I'm all about that. Everything from the big one, Neon Genesis Evangelion, to well, I guess maybe it's not a show, but it's the same thing. In Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain with Les Enfants Terribles. To all my gamers out there. So I generally like child soldiers and robots.
Nice.
It's a killer premise. It leads to a lot of great drama.
Yeah. So my Gundam journey, basically, I had never watched it before Gundam Witch. My sister was really into Gundam Seed. I remember her watching those. But yeah, I think I saw Val tweeting about it. Then I saw you tweeting about it, Kev, and I think you all were like, "This is one of the best shows of the year," and also it's gay, and I was like, "Okay, I have to watch this." And yeah, I remember catching up, and then getting added to the group chat, and yeah, I think it was really fun, especially like people would like message like, "Oh, it's like I can't remember what time it dropped, but it was like a weird time, like 6 a.m. or something." I'm like, "It just dropped," and then like people would kind of like live tweet it in the group DM without spoilers and just be like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and then like eventually all of us would watch the episode and be able to discuss it, and yeah, that was like a really fun experience. I think that's like one of my favorite like group chat episode watching experiences. And I think it kind of, like you said, because it kind of happened like right before the Elon Musk of it all, it kind of like was like the predecessor for a lot of us moving to like Discord and doing kind of similar things there. But I think with Gundam Witch, it was just so many things came together where I know I was very starved for like great TV in like 2022, 2023, and started for gay TV. And I had like I liked anime when I was younger, but I hadn't really watched much as an adult. And I think watching Gundam Witch also got me more into to anime. So there's kind of a bridge to that between that and like some of the other anime that we've discussed on this pod, like Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, and Jujutsu Kaisen. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Gundam Witch, and I'm really excited that we're talking about it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan too. Like I said, it's like one of the last, most recent at least, great like live viewing with friends experiences that I've had.
This is when I throw a wrench in here. Honestly, I could live without the show. Like I'm like at a C plus with this show.
Honestly, you're not like the only Gundam fan who didn't love it. I've gotten frustrated by going on the Gundam subreddit, where I feel like everyone on the Gundam subreddit was like talking about the show, was so excited about the show when it was airing, and then like now that it's been a few years since then, if you mention the show, someone will be like, it was okay.
Don't compare me to Reddit, please.
Yeah, my brother was telling me about how he got some friends to watch it, and they were also cooler on it than my brother loved it, but they were cooler on it than he was. And I don't know, I wonder if there's something temperamental about the show, or if it's like you had to be there thing. Like if you don't have like the outlet of people excitedly discussing it, it doesn't hit as hard. But I don't know. I was really hooked on this show from episode 1 and then episode 3 especially. There's just elements to it, like the soapiness of it really got its hooks in me deep.
And look, I think we should start there. Like honestly, like the heart of this show is Suletta and Miorian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sleta, you may have seen her red hair. Miorine has white hair. Those are, of course, in anime, the most important aspect of each character is what color their hair is.
True.
But yeah.
And in real life, you're the blonde and I'm the brunette. And she does have more fun, but I'm smarter. So.
Sure. Yeah. So basically in this show, Sleta, she's like the newcomer to this school, and Miorine, she has a rich daddy, And the episode 1, look, we're gonna spoil aspects of season 1. So if you're like, damn, I want to watch a really cool queer anime, pause this episode, watch the entire first season, including episode 0, which is great, and then come back to us. But otherwise, we're gonna be spoiling. So end of episode 1, you have Soletta dueling Gule, who is this like hotshot guy with like cool hair, who's like a little bit mean, and basically Soletta, she wins, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And then you find out that Soletta is now the holder, which means that Mirrorine is now her betrothed. That's right. End of episode 1. 2 ladies are gonna get married. Kev, do you remember your reaction when you first
I
saw
was
that?
losing it. I was so like, almost like, can they do that? Like, but also just like, even like they quickly, not even really fully backpedal, but like soften it of a like, yeah, it's more of a political thing, but like it's even like knowing that it wasn't like we weren't gonna see them get married next episode. It's still just like you could tell the soapiness of it was like in full force from the start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's a show. This is gonna be a show where there's gonna be a lot of fun twists and like really big dramatic reveals like this, but also like very conscious aware of its queerness. I think that's what something I was apprehensive about is like how much will they backpedal on this or how far will they go with it. And I think they strike a good balance where, like I said, they keep the marriage itself a political notion, but that means that Soletta and Miori, like the show is centered around their romance very explicitly. Like it's very much about their feelings for each other and as they grow towards each other.
Yeah.
And I think I give the show a lot of credit for, even if on the surface it's not like having them immediately get married, I think that leads to a more of a will they won't they structure with between two women that is just more compelling.
Yeah, I agree. So what's your problem with this show?
Okay. Look, okay. Look, I don't have a problem. I am the problem.
True.
One of the things about this little love affair between these little toddler-sized mercenaries is, look, I'm famously not a lesbian. Just me and Charlie XCX, we share that. So is this lesbian courtship? Like, does meeting in the battlefield and leaving with a ring on your finger the regular way women who love women meet?
Look, the great thing about lesbians is we have a lot of ways where we make love. We have a lot of ways of meeting women and making them fall in love with us. So it's definitely one of the ways. It's not the only way, though.
Yeah. I think it's less a lesbian thing and more of a TV thing. Like, this is definitely like big twisty romance throughout the show where you like got it's like I said, it's very soap. It's very like, God, I don't know why this is the first thing that comes to mind, but like Jane the Virgin, like having the title character of that get knocked up accidentally in her way. And then, but the fact that it's not then immediately resolved, like, oh, then she's going to go with a baby daddy. But then it's this whole like love triangles and will they, won't they throughout the show. Like, you can have a big moment and then still keep the tension of like a romance going, which I think is very fun. Like, and that's just like primetime soaps in general. Twin Peaks is also one like I'm rewatching right now. It has a lot of like characters, like a lot of like sexual tension between lots of different types of characters and a big web of like love triangles and connections. It's, I think, regardless of genre, if you're going for this sort of mode of like heightened emotion, the meeting on the battlefield and falling in love possibly is like a huge cool thing.
Well, love is a battlefield. We know this. This is known. I do appreciate that, Kev, because these two characters, like they both are generally apprehensive of the rules set by the patriarch that
Right.
Mironi is. I feel like I'm pronouncing her name the different way every time. That she has to like marry whoever is the best warrior at this school. And and Suletta is like a fish out of water. She's barely even a fish, an anema out of water. And I like how slowly through these 12 episodes, affection really does develop to the point where
Yeah.
we see Myroni like at one point almost kind of use Suletta as a possible like mode of profit, and I really like that.
That's the part you like.
Yeah, commerce,
the cynical
yes,
part of it.
capital. I love that shit.
Yeah, I like the.
I mean,
oh, go ahead, Kev.
yeah, it is, but it is just fascinating how you don't know how genuine Mjorn is at some points. Like whether or not this is serious for her, the romantic aspects, or whether it is just like business decisions. I think that's something that develops the character over the course of the show, is the fact that she is a very practical person and needs to sort of give in to her more emotional side.
And yeah, neither one
She
of
has
them
to
are
admit she has these
affectionate.
feelings for Suletta.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
there's boob punches.
Mjorn's very reserved, and Soleil's affectionate, but she's also very nervous about like romantic affection specifically. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. My biggest issue with the show is there's not enough kissing, which I think is a problem. Like it's hard to find gay kissing in a lot of animes that even are about like gay shit. So I at a certain point I have to just kind of resign myself to that. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the penultimate episode of the season is the one where it's basically after Miorine has been eavesdropping on Suletta, and Suletta is like really sad. And then Miorine's like, "Why didn't you tell me to your face?" And then Miorine's like chasing after Suletta and just like tackles her and then just like starts punching her. I thought she was punching her in the boob. I know you disagree, but basically it's like this moment where like I think Miorine has so much bottled up and then she finally lets it out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that happens to her like over the course of the show, like the waves of like things are going well, something's gone wrong, and then she just like gets in her head about it, and like it's like a catastrophe until something goes right again. Like Miorine's like up and down emotional behavior is like such a key part of that character.
And because like Luigi Marioni is this very subdued character due to like the hierarchy, the position of the hierarchy that she holds, and also, well, the father that she has. This show, not when Suletta comes in, really does help her open up to the point that at the end of the show there is not just this big emotional burst in between these two love characters, but also to the father figure. I forget his name.
Delling Rembrandt.
Delling? Well, yeah, Daddy Deling really comes in and like gets a little bit of redemption. And I think that can only happen with Suletta, and Suletta being this character that because she is this amoeba out of water, like is able to bring the emotional strokes within a person down to first principles, and it helps this bottled up gal, well, open up.
I mean, yeah, there's a whole pretty much every character on the show like has an encounter with Suletta, and she gets them to open up and like become a better version of themselves just through sheer force of being such a Pollyannish, like happy person. I mean, she goes through just a lot of trouble and drama and strife as well. It's more of a later on in the show, like past season 1, she gets her like lowest moments, and that is something people have to help her out of, which is like the fun reversal. But for season 1, it's mostly her like bringing people out of their shells. And I love a character like that who like just through sheer positivity is like a light in people's life.
And this is one of the things that I kind of irks me. And yeah, okay, like yeah, I'm an adult watching another culture's like adolescent like show. Okay, but the in the shonen genre, this kind of like very positive, very happy, very I don't even like proper character, because Suletta at multiple points just kind of tells the cast of characters to be more respectful and caring for each other. As you said, Kev, very Pollyanna. I like that just gets a little
It does
annoying to
remind me
me.
kind of a Gon in Hunter x Hunter, where he's a character that like often brings out the goodness in other people, and especially like you kind of see that like a little bit reversed in the big bugs arc, where eventually Killua is the one who brings something out of someone else, and then it's kind of reciprocated.
And the thing isn't like, but like with Yuji Itadori, like I like when he does that, because I guess because he's fundamentally a character that is, he's not starting off at a higher, like more precise and fulfilled emotional state. He's all over the place. So sometimes when he provides that avenue to open up to another character, or when he kind of like beats it out of someone, like to me that's a little more fulfilling than like this character from Mercury coming in and being like, be nice, sharing is caring.
I'm literally wearing a shirt that says "Be kind" right now, so I think I might just be a sop for Suletta. I just love her.
No.
What can I say?
Doesn't Suletta also beat the crap out of people? Like, I guess not physically, but with her giant robot.
But in like a cute way.
There's the more physical character is her friend Choo Choo, who is
Choo
also an icon and a queen.
Yes. Okay, before we get into Choo Choo, Kev, did you watch the sub or the dub?
I watched the sub.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, someone on this couch didn't. I'm not going to name any names.
Wow.
I default to dubs because they're easier for me to focus on. But with the dub for Butcher Mercury, I think was a month behind the sub. So I was like, I have to watch the sub. I have to know what happens next.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also a engrossing enough show for me that like I couldn't tune it out. Like sometimes the subs I miss stuff because like it's losing my attention. That's the problem of being ADD. But with Witcher Mercury, that was such an engrossing show for me that wasn't an issue.
Yeah. I think the voice actors on Gundam Witch, especially Suletta and Choo Choo, do an amazing job of like putting emotion into it. With Choo Choo, she's always angry. So I will ask you, person on the couch next to me who watched the dub, how did you feel about Choo Choo? Do you have to be reminded who Choo Choo is?
Forgettable, I guess. Yeah.
Look, she has the giant pink puffs in her hair.
Yeah. No.
She has
Yeah. I remember because it reminds me of like the rules of that like animation where it's like the silhouette is so important. And this character, who is like the tsundere of the group, is fun. Yeah, I mean I like her. But like when it comes to like the greater cast of characters, like I would put her below the both Jeruk family, or Jedruk, both the son and the father.
I don't even necessarily disagree with that. I just think there's so many compelling characters on this show that it just sounds like our whole character grading metric is like on different alignments. Because I agree she's not the most important for me, but yeah, I love everyone on the show pretty much.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think Choo Choo's a character who like will give you a really fun moment in every episode she's in. Yes. She's not like as deep of a character as some of the other ones, but yeah, she's like an easy like fan favorite besides like the two main characters.
She's very forward with her like dislike of the Spacians, and I think that's chill.
I think the big moment is like the end of episode 4 when she punches out the girl
Yes.
making fun of Suletta and other people. Is that's just like, if you're not on board with her by then, that has to brings you on. That's so fun.
Yeah, I would definitely watch like a Choo Choo spinoff series.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a few characters that we haven't talked about yet. There's and apologies if I mispronounce it. It's so close to Elon, but Elon, who is like a clone, and we see a bunch of different versions.
Is
of
he a
him.
clone or is he like a person that just got altered to be like one guy?
Well, we
I
know-
think you're right, AP. I think it's 3 different people. The original, who's an asshole, and then these 2 other guys. They don't really go, like a lot of things on the show, they don't go into a lot of detail about it. A lot of it's more implied and suggested. But I believe it is 2 like down on their luck other people who are faces are altered to look like him. And I think it's they're on the 4th one when the series starts, and when Suletta beats him in a duel, there's the really dramatic moment where he is then incinerated for his failure. And then there's and then you get to the Elon 5, I think they call him, where they have a 3rd person who looks like the same person who is now impersonating this rich guy just to go to school for him. And that guy's more of a chauvinistic, kind of a more charming asshole than the just pure asshole of the original guy.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about him is that like Suletta interacts with him a lot, and sometimes positive, sometimes negative, and like basically like there's some versions of him like is really are really aggressive about like asking Suletta on a date, and she's like,
Right.
well, I want to be nice to this guy because I've had positive interactions in the past with him. He seems very aggro now. I don't know what to do about this. And yeah, I love that the moment that you mentioned the incineration, because we get a callback to one of the most devastating moment in episode 0, the happy birthday song.
Right.
And yeah, I love that the show can just like kick you in the gut.
That moment is such a key moment for the show in terms of like really turning a corner dramatically of like, yeah, not all these characters are going to live to make it out to the other end, which is, as I understand, a common trait of Gundam shows. It's like a very cavalier attitude towards the cast living or dying. And yeah, to have, even in the teen high school set one, to have a character die off in like episode 5 or 6, I believe, it's shocking, it's dramatic, and it's like just also a really well executed gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the first time where the show, well, invokes violence, like permanent and real violence, to this guy that for the most part seems like an even-handed, and aloof, well, smarty pants, part of the elite in the school, and this is where like Suletta comes in and really shows that like she has that shonen, talk no jutsu that like provides this sense that anyone that is in her orbit will be the best, will be brought out of them. And in that moment where he is revealed to be a Gundam pilot, and they have this kind of like sync of minds. I like that. I like that. I like that because it reinforces that there is connections, and connections can be made in between anyone at any point. There is no such thing as a final say of this person is irredeemable and can be disposed of without a second thought.
So what you're saying is the show is abolitionist.
Honestly, yeah, probably a little bit. A little bit.
I think to move on to Ghoul, that's like the big thing with his character is he's set up in the first like 3 episodes like the school bully who is like the thorn in Suletta's side, and he's gonna be the jock that's like her rival. And instead she kicks his ass twice in a row very quickly, which causes him to propose to her, which that was an insane moment where it's just like, is everyone at the school going to propose to her by the end of the show?
That was amazing.
Getting really hilarious and soapy. But then after that, he just keeps losing. Like, I don't think we see him win once this entire first season, like in any match
The only time
that he has. And
wins is when he kills his dad at the end.
oh yes, of course. The most tragic thing. That's the thing, is like every episode things get worse for him.
Yeah.
And he gets like more sad, but also like more internal, and like looks at his own flaws clearer. Like, it's very funny how his life keeps getting worse and worse every episode. But it's also a great arc where he keeps getting more introspective and improving himself emotionally every episode, because each loss brings him closer to like a more self-understanding. It makes a very dynamic character.
Yeah, to the point where like he goes down the ladder from where from his station, to the point where he becomes just kind of like a deckhand at like his daddy's company,
Bob the Builder.
and I really like that because he is just like it shows none of these characters are static. And they start in a place where they fit a little bit of an archetype, but at the end of it, they go through these changes that shows the larger premise of this, of the Gundam series, which is violence and war, and the preparation for that changes you in ways that you might not be ready for. You might be better for it, but you are not ready for them.
Totally.
Yeah, there's a few other characters I want to touch on before we get more into the war of it all. Shadiq, I don't know if we have too much to say. I think the main thing about him is that he's a very just like pure anime character of like, you know, his chest is like always on display. He's just always looking really cool. Yeah, Kev, what did you think of him?
Yeah, I mean, he's the least of like the three top dogs at the school, Ghoul, Elon, and Shadiq. Shadiq is the least interesting, which I mean isn't saying much because Ghoul and Elon are super interesting characters, and Shadiq is just kind of more of a typical rival. Like, he's the actual thorn in people's sides throughout the show, who's like actually like on the level of the other characters. But I don't know, he also has daddy issues like everyone else in the show. So it doesn't really make him stand out. He has a bunch of cool like female friends, which like it's a little weird that it's like almost harem coded, but there's nothing sexual about it, so it's fine. But all the people like he hangs out with are really cool characters as well. But it doesn't go much deeper than that. Like, he's an interesting character, but he's not a really interesting character compared to like everyone else on this list.
Yeah,
I agree. I like how he loses.
Yeah.
I think that's fun, seeing just like a big character lose with unceremoniously, and he was, to his father's warning, too young to get into politics. And my only other thought about this character is every time someone said his name, in my mind I responded, "Shade."
Yeah.
All right. Prospera Mercury. Now, this is one of my favorite characters. I think she has one of the most interesting arcs. She's someone, you know, she's got this really cool mask. We do see her in episode 0, the prologue, but she's the mother of Suletta. And over time, you learn more and more about her. And I don't think she has the best intentions.
No, she is not the best person in the world. No, she's. It's nice that in a show filled with daddy issues and a pop culture landscape filled with daddy issues, we got some prime mommy issues going on instead with her, where she is really gender bending the whole like evil parent thing, and that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if either of you know the significance of the mask as well. It's more of a meta thing.
Tell us.
There's in the original Gundam, the main villain who's so popular he becomes sort of anti-heroic is the guy named Char Aznable. If you know anything about Gundam, you've probably heard of him. But he has a similar mask. And though almost all Gundam TV shows are in different continuities with each other, a lot of them will have a similarly masked character. So it's like if every Star Wars show or movie did not take place connected to each other, but someone always showed up looking like Darth Vader. It was like, okay, that's the person who's going to do something bad. Maybe they're going to become good later. Maybe they're going to stay bad throughout, but something's up with them. And so when his mom comes on wearing that mask, that's what it was explained to me. It was like, now you got to keep an eye on her. And yeah, she pretty much lives up to that, being the sort of the Gundam villain mask kind of paradigm.
There is a moment later on in the last episode where she aerates like 5 dudes that are about to like kill Suletta, and she's like, if I didn't kill them, you would be dead. And then she goes into a very motherly approach. In fact, maybe like a grooming approach to Suletta about this violence. And she's and while doing this, I was just like, oh, this woman is fucked up.
Yeah.
I like that it's not a typical bad parent who's like trying to kill their kid or be evil to their kid, but like she does everything out of what she thinks is love for Suletta. Like that's a very fun dimension. Like not super original either, but like more original than just a typical bad parent, and also just, it's a fun wrinkle for the character.
Yeah, I like how basically her role is to like further conscript Soletta into violence, and I think that's part of like why I think the finale, which I think the season 1 finale may be my favorite episode of the show overall. I think it makes it so effective because, as we talked about, there's so little violence in episodes 1 through 11. The season is bookended by violence. The prequel episode, there's violence in that. The happy birthday song at the end is a tragic song, and then we don't really get any bloodshed besides the incineration until the final episode, and basically all bets are off. Then I remember watching that episode high after taking a gummy, and everything hit even harder, especially the end, which I won't get.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tease the end of the episode. We'll get to it eventually. I know all you Gundam fans are like, tell us about the end. We'll get there, trust me. But yeah, let's get into more of the. We've already talked about the romance stuff a bit, so let's talk a little bit about imperialism. So basically, in episode 0, we kind of get the backdrop where there's the Earthians and then there's the Spacians. And we get some news broadcasts about like conflict between them. But a lot of that conflict is kind of in the background of the first season. There's a lot of conflict like between the students. There's racism where they're like, oh, I can't remember what word they use for the Earthians, but like bumpkin or something like that. It's like really funny that they keep saying that. And so you can tell like, okay, there's racism here. There's like this backdrop of violence, but it doesn't really come to the fore until later, and much more so in season 2. But it's part of the Gundam tradition of being an anti-imperialist show, a show that shows the folly of this violence. There's like an interesting wrinkle because the Gund technology was originally designed for like healthcare reasons, and they have this like the kids have this like moral dilemma where they're like, okay, what should we use this company for? Should we use it for more healthcare, or hey, is it time to use it for violence?
Yeah, and I like that they tried the healthcare route because it is just like something different. It's like I haven't seen that in like an anime like this before, where it's like trying to use the unique genre element and like explore different dimensions with it in this way.
Yeah, I know when we were talking about the healthcare of all, you're like, oh well, they're as if the healthcare industry doesn't inflict violence on people.
Right.
This is something. So I didn't watch season 2. Y'all have seen season 2. You've seen all of this. You've seen the witches from Mercury all the way to Pluto, and I've only seen 2. I don't know how the imperialism or the kind of like anti-war narrative is really hit on the second season. I know that in the first season it's very much in the background. It
Right.
it feels like the presentation of the what is it, interplanetary news network, showing the unrest on Earth and a couple of other places, is it hints at that or provides the like set dressing for that, but it doesn't really like jump into it. One of the things that I sit here with my big 30-year-old mind, viewing this show, is this idea that like military tech versus medical tech are not like separate things. I mean, in this show, they're not separate things.
Hmm.
In the one of the showcases, Suleta's walking around in these like disembodied legs in a very awkward position.
Hmm.
I I look at that and immediately thought, okay, well, that's literally some Boston Dynamic as presentation of
Yeah.
the future oppressor of me in the streets of Chicago.
Yeah, and I think season 2 does definitely get into that more of like what are these tools being used for, um, and like the politics behind it all. But even in season 1, it's definitely starting to raise these questions of like the line between a tool being used for violence and a tool being used to help people, and how it can be used for both, and how it makes whoever has that tool, it puts in a very precarious position.
Yeah, and a lot of the politics in the first season is kind of subsumed in these three families and this competition between them. You know, you especially in the gala episode,
Mm.
it becomes basically about like these proposals for to like try to get money. You know, it's like these tech companies want more money to
Right.
create this to create some technology, and the only one that succeeds is Miorine because, you know, she like does this gambit of I'm not gonna say I understand like all the like the company maneuvering on this show,
You
but
didn't get your space MBA?
no, I didn't. Um, but yeah, I remember at the time thinking like it was like an effective thing because I think at that point I was like, oh, I need uh I need Miorine to like stand up for Soletta. It actually it kind of reminds me in Hacks, which Kev, I know you watch, like how
Yeah.
you know, Gene's smart character like finally stands up for Ava in season 4, and is like says that like Ava's my voice. I feel like I just love when women stand up for each other, and you know, similar to Gundam Witch, I'm hoping that there's some more kissing in Hacks between those two women, but
This girl only wants one thing, and that is lip smacking.
but yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
Kev, do you remember like your thoughts on that gala episode?
I was just so impressed that it could make like it's very Succession coded, how it was making
Yeah.
like all this business stuff compelling, even if you don't fully understand what the character's talking about or why it's happening. Just through like visual language and the character's emotions, there's a very clear thorough line to follow.
Yeah.
And I just remember loving that. Like the whole platforms rising up and down
Yes.
was just a very good visual metaphor for tracking everything going on.
I was sitting there and because I was watching it for this show, like a specter of the past came over me, and it reminded me of the gala scene in Emilia Perez.
Oh no.
Mm.
And I'm like, I love how like fundraising galas are just shorthand for like, yeah, evil people get together to give money to something, whatever, you know, whatever it might be. I guess that's literally what the Met Gala is too.
Yeah. So you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna talk about the end of the season right now because you can't talk
Yeah.
about violence and war without talking about how it ends. So basically, we already talked about how Seletta's mom is being a bad influence on her, and Soletta has this like saying throughout the season, um, about like moving forward in gaining two, and then you kind of get like an explanation from her mom at the finale where it's like, yeah, you might have to kill someone, and then I'll be moving forward. Um, and finally, after Soletta has like battled these witches, she's like, "Where's my love? Where's Miorine?" And then she finds her, and this guy is like pointing a gun at her, and suddenly, Soletta and the Gundam is like, "Wah, boom, boom, boom," just smashes the guy with the Gundam hand and smushes him, and that is the most shocking violence in the season for
Yes.
sure.
And do the
I
Spacians not have the right to defend themselves?
that was
I was
such.
warned that this was coming up. Yeah, you can definitely draw a parallel between the Spacians and Israel. That's where we're going here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a story
I mean,
about
yeah, I
the.
think
Go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
it tracks so well for like Israel and Palestine for sure. But, like any sort of like country oppressing another country like that, like any sort of nation suppressing another nation or group of nations suppressing another nation, just because that's just like a constant throughout civilization that you can always comment on. And I think, yeah, it's just so telling that these Spacians like, and the show makes no bones about it. Like, as much as there is like literal violence on both sides, like the Spacians are the ones clearly in power and doing more wrong by suppressing the Earthians like this. And the show clearly has more sympathy for the Earth side, even as its main characters are Spacians, technically. Um, and I just kind of love that about it.
Um, I just think if the Earthians really want to like change things, they could work within the system, vote it to really have their voices heard. They can also vote
Oh,
with
totally.
their dollar.
Yeah, the Earthians, like at the gala during like the speech where Miorine was like accepting the win of her company, she should have just been like, vote.
This is kind of where the limit of this fiction hits, and why I prefer it as this love sapphic journey versus kind of like a political drama or even for adolescents. Because if you go back to episode 0, what's his name, Dillard, a dill pickle, like stands up and
Pickle Rick.
stands up and says this speech about how the Gundam should be outlawed because killing someone, like ending another human life, is a sin that the person needs to bear, but a machine can't make that decision. And because the Gundam is built to siphon the life force of someone, it needs to be outlawed. And that's when a lot of this stuff gets muddled. Like the show is not pro violence in any way, but
Oh
what the
no.
what the show is uninterested in providing an analysis of where violence comes from and why you choose to do violence. And the finale really shows that to me personally.
For me, I mean, I do think that like we literally get to see how Suletta becomes a violent person, and in this case, it's because she's manipulated by her mother, and her mother uses this what should be this perfect thing, this romance between these two young women, and it's like, no, I'm gonna turn it into like bloodshed, and that's one of the reasons why I love the moment so much is because like this show has been presenting like Slutta and Miorine as this like will they won't they cute little lesbian romance, and then it's like Soletta has become a killer. There's literal blood on Miorine, and she is shocked at what she's seeing. Like there's so much violence in the episode, but that's the moment that like really hits for me. Kev, I know you have some thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's such a shocking moment, and I just think it's also just kind of darkly funny.
Yes.
Like the way she like comes out and like tries to laugh about it. Like she doesn't really fully understand what she did was so wrong. It's There's just a lot of emotions going on there. I think it's a great escalation of their relationship while also being a new obstacle at the same time.
Yes.
Where they have an affection for her that Soletta is willing to kill for her Miorin, but then it changes how Miorin views Soletta going into the second season, like permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's such a smart writing idea.
Yeah, the moment where like Sletta's like stumbling out of the Gundam and is like doing her little ticks afterwards is just like a perfect character moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love watching that episode with people for the first time. I have watched that episode I think more than any other episode of the show, and the look of shock on people's faces is just always perfect.
I can imagine. Yeah. Oh my god.
I do.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I do like about anime. It's like subtlety has been flushed down like decades ago. So the fact that like Soletta does have like blood in her hands, like she's literally caught red-handed. It is funny, and it is especially because there's just so much blood coming out of this one guy. Like that guy was 90% blood, and
Oh yeah.
and I and it ends with our space princess just being like, "You're a murderer. You're gross." And I think that is a great book end to this season. And I think that also makes the climax of this season, which is the declaration of love in between them, the previous episode, way stronger. And I do like it did hit me hard enough for me to be like, I should watch season 2. But then it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, I should not do that.
Yeah. If we're doing vague take on season 2, I think season 2 is more highs and lows than season 1. The story gets a little more muddled, but like the emotional moments hit like a fever pitch, and like those, like especially near the beginning and near the end, like the finale of the whole show, like I was in such like enraptured with like how far it was taking these characters.
Yeah, I agree. I think I remember the experience of watching season 2 in real time was like every week it felt like people were saying, "What they did? What? Like what?"
Yes.
So yeah, I'm going to be rewatching it with friends soon. So I'm looking forward to seeing it with new eyes because I feel like the first season I feel like a lot of it's pretty straightforward. So yeah, I'm excited to see how season 2.
I'm excited for what you all think, because yeah, it's a wild ride for sure.
One of the things that I am excited for is watching some more mech shows. I think this has gotten me excited to rewatch Big O, an anime that I saw on Adult Swim way back when.
Oh, yeah.
Way back when.
Yeah. I saw a couple episodes. I would catch a couple episodes of that. It seemed really.
Yeah, so this is like the only Gundam show that I've like watched all of. I did watch a little bit of the original Gundam show with Grace recently, and that was fun. So,
Friend of the pod.
yep.
Nice.
Not our Grace, Kev. There are multiple trans Graces that I'm friends with, which I love.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. The Grace we know would not be an anime person.
Yeah.
She's collecting them like the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, I'll have enough trans Graces in order to take over the world. Yeah, it would snap and all the cis people would disappear.
Oh no,
Mm.
that's me.
Half the cis people disappear.
Yeah, half. Hopefully the straight half. But yeah, like I whenever I watch anime, I'm like, I gotta watch more anime. I haven't watched. I watched the first 2 episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion. I know I need to watch more. I know it gets really wild.
Yeah.
So
I'm literally once we start monetizing this, there will literally be a 7-hour episode. We are very close to the end here. Kev, I appreciate you chatting with us tonight in this beautiful day in 2025 in Pride. Happy Pride, y'all.
happy
Yeah.
Pride.
Before we say
Pride.
our goodbyes, we have one final section of this mainline episode that we will be jumping into.
Yeah, so every episode we do something called Hopecast, which basically each of us takes a turn to talk about something that's giving us hope in this crumbling world. Because ultimately, The Weather is an optimistic podcast. Even when it's really hard to be optimistic, ending on this happy note gives us a little jump in our step as we get back to the real world. So yeah, do you want to join in Hopecast with us, Kev?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I can start so you know what it's all about. What is giving me hope today? I think what's giving me hope is that uh, I feel like a lot of people are ready to fight against ICE. I think that
Yes.
there have been moments where I've been kind of depressed about like kind of the discourse around immigrant rights in this country, where I partially because the Democrats kind of like bunted on this issue. They were like, "Oh no, we're just going to say the same thing as the Republicans." I feel like the discourse around like immigration leading into the election and coming out of it was like pretty dicey. But I feel like communities have really come together and said, "No, we are going to fight for our neighbors." And
Yes.
like what's happened recently with ICE kidnapping people uh and deporting people and getting the National Guard in, I think it's really gotten people to say, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm gonna go march, as I know my good friend here did recently. So yeah, that's what's giving me hope is that even when like really scary shit is happening, I'm seeing a lot of people stand up to it, and yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to piggyback off that
go
answer
ahead.
because yeah, I work in downtown LA, like within a mile of where a lot of the protest activity is happening, and it's just it. All I see when I walk outside, it's not like the war zone that the news is depicting it as. I just see people with signs going towards the protest locations, like just seeming energized and not necessarily happy, but like happy to be with each other and in the community, and just ready to like have their voices be heard. And like I wish I could join them if I wasn't stuck at an office. But yeah, it's really empowering to see like people on the same page with this, even if people in power on both sides of the aisle are kind of decrying it and worried, hand wringing about it. To see the people on the ground, like there's such a populist, I think, movement right now that is like anti-ICE and pro-immigration in a way that like no matter how much people in power try to tell us that we should be anti-immigration, and there's still plenty of people who are anti-immigration in the country at large, but there are communities who are ready to fight for this. And I don't know, it's just very nice that even like things are scary, but people are still coming together. And it's definitely a much more positive and um, wholesome movement than it's being painted to be. Though that said, even if a car gets destroyed or a shop window gets broken, who cares? That's part of it, you know? A voice has to be heard somehow.
Think about the Waymos.
Yeah.
It's the Waymo. Like it's the Waymo world, and we just happen to live in it. My hope cast here is, like I feel like I have a couple of different, but the one that I'm going to say is uh, bef- I'm gonna be in a fashion show.
Yay!
Nice.
As the longtime listeners and my co-host know, I committed to adding a dress to my bottoms rotation, and a new friend of mine, invited me to a fashion show to present a piece and also to walk the runway. And I'm taking this
Ooh.
opportunity to design and fabricate a dress for myself. And I'm
That's awesome.
so excited.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited to see
that's
it.
incredible.
I'll be there. And yeah, you you're a podcaster, you're a fashion icon, you're a million other things that I won't say because I don't want Social Security to be able to figure out who you are.
She doesn't want to say I'm a bottom.
So yeah, I love the expanding AP universe.
And
Nice.
if you are excited to see that dress, you can see it in all our socials. You can see it in.
On Instagram at Doveweather.
You can see it and see us and listen to us on YouTube at.
Doveweather.
You can also see the magnificent and wondrous guests that we have here in their podcast at Tasting Menu and at Total Massacre, linked below. And below we also have some other socials of Kev's. Kev, is there anything you want to shout out or plug right now?
Yeah, just my Bluesky, Max Rebo's Roadie, .bsky.social. That's where I do all my posting.
Yeah, Kev is a must follow on Bluesky.
Thank you.
Voracious pop culture appetites and
Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah, I'm really glad we got to have you on this podcast. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was fun to do.
Awesome. Well, listeners, we'll be seeing all of you in the streets and online.
And in the sheets. Ciao, Bambina.
Bye.
Bye.